three main contentions with the opening opposition speaker in this debate today. On my first main point of contention is their whole case today generally. They are making a very big assertion here. They are saying that democracy isn't there's no inherent good in democracy itself. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not say that when you actually change and convert from this ideology to democracy, there will be an immediate change like snap over the night. Your economic boost, your people get a job. We say that democracy is a more feasible policy to countries such as Vietnam, Myanmar, etc. as my first speaker has already mentioned. We say that when you turn to democracy, the economic side of the country, social side of the country will gradually change and change for the better, ladies and gentlemen. And he is also questioned us in Iraq, even though that it was an intern government elected by the US itself, the US still uses a model of democracy back then used in the whole country to actually govern Iraq itself. So that means elections themselves are actually still being held. So this actually gives the freedom of these people, this freedom to actually choose the people they want to run the government in the country, which will then be able to help them to fight for their own rights, which we also heavily emphasize in democracy itself. On to my second point of contention in the moment, sir. Okay, before I go on, yes.
But the elections that are happening in Iraq are massively vote rigged and flawed, so how's that success?
But sir, you must still recognize that even though it's this way, but the people are still being given the right to choose who in their government. It was still better compared to Saddam Hussein's period, where they did not have a say in the government in the first place. It was still better as this kind of government would at least still be able to fight for their rights, be able to communicate with the US to actually give them better economic progress. Down man. Okay, on to my second main point of contention. Okay, the first speaker has actually also emphasized that China versus India and democratic countries democracy does not equate to development in the country, and he used the example of China versus India. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, we do acknowledge that there are other countries who are not democratic and they can develop, but we are actually saying that when we fight for democracy, we are actually fighting for the long-term side effects of the democracy itself. Because we believe that democracy is a more feasible policy for this kind of people. And because you see in the context of China, they have an oppressive dictatorship, and this is what we do not want. We do not want the people to have their feelings and their rights to be suppressed. And on to my third main point of contention, they actually question about the sovereignty of democracy and their ideology behind democracy itself. And we also use the example of China versus India, and they mentioned that China, being not a democratic country, is leaps ahead of India in terms of development when India is the leading democracy in the country. But ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to stress on the fact that democracy, when a country changes to democracy, it does not change does not happen overnight. It is gradual, and that is what the proposition today is actually fighting for: the long-term changes of democracy itself. Okay, now moving on to my substantive, where I'll be talking to you about the short-term costs and the short-term causes versus the long-term benefits. I'll be talking to you in two levels of this point, sir. The first is on the countries that experience oppressive dictatorship, and on the second level is the costs and benefits for the first world countries. Now, going on to my first level, which is countries that face an oppressive dictatorship. In this level, Mr. Speaker, we are trying to say that we are going to use force on those countries that actually have not changed to democracy, when we have actually gone through diplomatic talks, sanctions, then we resort to this force. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you must first understand that in these countries where they have oppressive dictatorships, their rights are actually being violated by the government. And the proposition, even though we say that, even though they might say that the livelihoods of the people will be disrupted when we use force, we believe that in the long-term run, this livelihoods disruption, this economic detriment will actually be of a justifiable cost, because we will actually bring good to the country. For example, in the context of Iraq, ladies and gentlemen, when America actually invaded Iraq and actually overthrew Saddam Hussein, they actually ripped Iraq of many problems. For example, corruption in the government, where then the US can actually step in to actually create a new system through the intern government, which can actually help bring about change in the country. And moreover, ladies and gentlemen, we can see now that at least in Iraq, the rights of the people are actually being respected. And when we see that the rights of people are being respected, and with America bringing in the intern government, we see that the quality of living in Iraq is actually improving gradually. People are being more able to find jobs, people are getting a better standard of living, etc. And that's why trade progress and development is actually happening gradually in Iraq now. Now, on to my second level of analysis of the short-term costs versus long-term benefits. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we do acknowledge that the cost might be high to resort to the usage of force in a Western democracy. But ladies and gentlemen, we do believe that in the long-term run, the benefits will actually far outweigh the cost in the short term. Like, I'll bring back to the example of the Iraq War again, ladies and gentlemen. At the beginning, when America invaded Iraq, there were many hindrances for America to progress. For example, your cost, resources, and the loss of lives. But ladies and gentlemen, America still went ahead, overthrew Saddam, and came in with an intern government. And this intern government was able to give the Iraqis a basic right, and then would be actually help Iraq to actually get benefits, for example, trade and economic benefits. And moreover, America gained a reputation boost as they actually changed Iraq from a bad Iraq to a better Iraq. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to propose